Fried food, yes. Chicken, Oreo. But let's dig a little deeper and see what we can find out about fried food. Wow, 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 wow. The term frying is when you cook food in high temperatures using oil. The oil reaches temperatures of about 110 to 180 degrees Celsius. Now that's hot. You know the small bubbles you see when you fry things? That's actually not the oil boiling, but instead water vapor that escapes out from the food. Frying enhances flavor and gives food the golden, shiny, crispy texture that you often dream about. But frying also acts as a conservation method, since the process removes a lot of water in the food, which increases its shelf life. The high temperature also annihilates most of the present microorganisms that could otherwise spoil the food. The high temperature does however lower the amount of nutrients, such as vitamins, but it depends on how long you fry and at which temperature.
We don't need no water, let them up.
So, how can fried food be unhealthy? When frying food, it absorbs a lot of the oil, of course, which considerably increases the fat content and thus increases the total amount of calories. You know, 1 gram of fat is more than double the amount of energy compared to 1 gram of carbs. So, too much of this good stuff can make you increase in weight, which can be both good or bad. However, here's an interesting thing. When speaking of adequate amounts of intake, it's not the total amount of fat that is most associated with weight gain, obesity, cancer risk, coronary heart disease, but instead the fat quality.
Oh, there it is.
So, fat quality takes us to which oils should we be using when frying. The most common oil is often palm oil, since it's cheap, works in good temperatures and has a good taste. But palm oil consists mainly of saturated fats, which too much of ain't good. You know, too much saturated fat, increase in LDL cholesterol, and increased risk for plaque in arteries, etc.
We know that already.
Yeah. Shh. So, switching out some of the oil with olive oil instead could be a good option, since it mainly consists of monounsaturated fats. If you're frying at home, make sure not to crank the heat up too high so that the oil starts to smoke, because the smoke can be toxic. Another thing the high temperature causes during frying is creating some dangerous substances. The higher temperature, the more is formed. Here are some of the substances. I know, highly informative. One of these substances formed is acrylamide. This substance always follows with the good stuff like in fried food, coffee, and cookies.
Cookie!
It is formed in temperatures above 100 degrees Celsius when frying or roasting, and it increases with the higher temperatures. Acrylamide is toxic, so don't overconsume these foods, although it's a pain in the ass to limit the intake of coffee. Studies show a lot of evidence that there is a correlation between fried food and an increased risk of heart attack, diabetes type 2, high blood pressure, and obesity. But it seems that it's the frequency of eating these fried foods that plays the biggest role. Eating fried food 4 or more times per week have shown to greatly increase the risk of developing these chronic diseases. So there you have it. Don't consume fried food too often, maybe once a week is perfectly fine, and make sure to use lower temperatures if you fry at home. And as with everything, eat moderate amounts.